Not even in the depths of the Cold War has Moscow seen a diplomatic procession like the one today. One by one, ambassadors from the Czech Republic, Ukraine, Germany, Poland, and on were all summoned for dressing downs by Russian officials and then handed expulsion orders. By the time Canada's ambassador arrived, John Kerr would have known exactly what was in store for him. 4 Canadian diplomats are being sent home, Global Affairs said in a statement, adding, "The well-being of employees is our priority. We'll be making every effort to support those affected and their families with their return to Canada." Last week, Canada joined with other NATO and EU countries, sending Russian diplomats packing in response to the poisoning of Sergei and Yulia Skripal in England. It was left to Britain's ambassador to speak for the Western diplomats today.
I just want to say, though, that it's important to bear in mind why this crisis has arisen in the first place. It is the use of a chemical weapon on the streets of the United Kingdom that has threatened the lives of a number of people in my country.
The Russian reprisals were totally expected. Today, American staff hurriedly packed and cleaned at the St. Petersburg consulate after being given 48 hours to get out. Stacks of pizzas arrived to keep everyone going. Russian diplomats, meanwhile, were doing the same thing in the United States. The government plane was waiting for them on the runway, ready to bring them all back to Russia. Tonight, the popular Russian TV show 60 Minutes, which usually echoes the Kremlin's talking points, tackled this day of expulsions. Absolutely everyone is against us, complained the host, proof or no proof. America is the aggressor, said another panelist, but he did allow one small concession. He suggested Russia could have been more transparent, perhaps by offering to review the history of its chemical weapons program.
This may, for the moment, end the tit-for-tat reprisals. Canada's statement made no mention of any further action. Instead, it emphasized that Canada wants to continue cooperating with Russia on issues they can agree on. Chris Brown, CBC News, Moscow.
So there's no lack of dramatic exits here. Is it all just theater? Or does this diplomatic pullback come with some consequences?
It's clear from the list provided to us that the Russian Federation is not interested in a dialogue on issues that matter to our two countries.
Russia loves brash gestures. It ordered the closure of this U.S. consulate in St. Petersburg after holding a poll on Twitter to decide where to target its diplomatic reprisal. Beneath the brazen moves, however, there is speculation that Vladimir Putin was caught off guard by the show of Western solidarity.
There's enough evidence to believe that the Russian state was behind this action in Salisbury.
Putin thought Brexit-bound Britain was much more isolated. Now that seems to be Russia's fate. The result could be more flexing of Russian muscle in its immediate sphere of influence. That's Syria, Crimea, the Balkans. As for any impact on Canada's ties to Russia, a former diplomat says they were already fairly shredded.
We have hardly any activities at our embassy in Russia today because we've curtailed them, largely because of the deterioration in relations since the Russian invasion of Crimea.
For Kinsman, the bigger question is how Russia gets on with the West overall.
I mean, this thing is getting dangerous. Both Putin and the American military are boasting of new, upgraded nuclear weapons. Somebody's got to talk, and it's not a question so much of backing down, but it is a question of backing off. I think that's the most important thing in the world right now.